discussing the business of making and spending money.
Hello, you're welcome to today's edition of Money Radio Leadership Podcast. Money Radio, of course, is that program that brings you the latest developments in Nigeria's business and economy cycles, and of course, issues of businesses around the world. My name is Innocent Odo, and today we are going to take a critical look at a very important sector, which is, of course, the digital economy of Nigeria. And we are talking 5G specifically. That's the fifth generation network, which has been launched in Nigeria. And we're looking at how to boost indigenous firms in the deployment of this very amazing technology in order to create opportunities for Nigeria and also expand the frontiers of the economy of the country to join the global community in the possibilities of this very important technology. I'm not alone in the studio. I will unveil of course, he's already here, my regular guest, Hania Jafaru, an ICT expert with whom I'm going to do justice to this very important topic in the digital economy. So we look at indigenous firms and boosting their capacity to participate fully in the deployment of this technology, the 5G network. Yesterday in Abuja, Mafab Communications unveiled their 5G network services to the public with intention to also expand the possibilities inherent in that particular technology. And so we are going to look at the prospects and of course the challenges that may come as a result of the deployment of this technology. And it's also instructive to note that the Mafab Communication is one of the firms that were given licenses by the federal government to deploy the 5G on 3.5 gigahertz spectrum. So after a very, very competitive bidding last year, Mafab and others like MTN were among those who were given the license to deploy the 5G network. And so we're looking at Mafab as an indigenous company and also at the opportunity offered by the federal government to ensure that we boost indigenous firms to create jobs using this technology that is already making waves around the world. And so we are going to look at the issues around 5G and, of course, the opportunities offered for indigenous companies to participate in this sector. Like I said, my friend and my guest, Hania Jafari, is already seated in the studio, and it's always good to have you in the studio. So you're welcome once again. This is your forte. The digital economy sector is making serious waves in Nigeria now, and we can only hope that it begins to expand even more of its frontiers to reach out to places where it hasn't reached out. And so, playing in this particular game, indigenous companies are really showing up. We understand that MTN was one of those firms, and of course, Mafab, like I mentioned earlier, also got the license from the federal government to deploy the 5G network, which they have also unveiled yesterday in a very elaborate ceremony. And of course, even the new company was also unveiled. And so they are now ready to participate in the deployment of 5G. So we look at 5G and the opportunities for indigenous firms and how they can use that opportunity to drive the digital economy.
Okay, well, it's really I really don't know how well so far we've done well to the best of our ability. Let me start from there. 5G as a technology has the potency to generate about $13 trillion industry or technology. And it has the potential of creating about 22 million jobs. That's huge. So, just as I would always say, yeah, every technology that comes has its own side effects. But what you do is that you minimize the side effects and maximize the potency so that you get you benefit more, so that the potency and the opportunities that it comes with outweighs the effect. Truth be told, while we are talking about the fact that 22 million jobs would be created, but some jobs will also actually be lost as a result of the 5G.
Interesting.
Yes, some jobs will be lost as a result of the 5G. So those who are not seeing the future and are not preparing for those kind of losses would eventually be hit once 5G becomes a norm. Yes. Because 5G largely is going to help in service delivery, hasty service delivery, automated service delivery, and before now it is manual. And that invariably means those that stand in the service chain, some of them will have to go. Yes. So beyond that, there are other aspects of 5G, like where it is now connected to Internet of Things,
Yes.
and Internet of Things is also all about automated services. We are using the agricultural sector, for example. Now you can deploy drones, and the drones can fly around your farm and do the ridges for you if you want it to do it, plant the seed for you if you want it to do it, and by doing that, it means those who used to plant the seed and do the ridges will no longer have jobs. You get so, and the whole IoT works with actuators and sensors, which convert physical environmental signal input or physical environmental possibilities to digital signal, and also carry out digital signal to make a physical reality of it. For example, you want to you want to turn on you want the physical environment of the studio, for example, now to be cold. So how do you do that? You have to now turn on the AC. The AC is a digital signal. You send a digital signal, but the reality, before you say anything, the whole be cold. And that is an actuator. Now, sensor is when you now sense. There are some ACs that they sense that they find out that the humidity or the temperature within the place it is airing, it's too high, so it drops the signal on its own. That's using the environmental humidity to take a decision and reduce the signal. So if there is somebody that used to manually turn on the AC, manually decide if the AC is if the room is cold or hot, to either turn it up or turn it on, it means those kind of persons will no longer get jobs. So jobs will be lost, but again, what are the opportunities?
Yeah.
Huge one, huge opportunities. New industry are coming forth. Virtual reality is coming forth. Internet of Things is coming forth. Boosting of the artificial intelligence industry is coming forth. Enhanced speed, data communication, enhanced mobile broadband. That is also communication. Probably very soon we should begin to look at the possibility of adding communication as freedom of for one of the fundamental human rights, because uh, 5G is going to make that possible, where it is highly needed. If you are not connected, as told you are disconnected. So there's a whole lot of opportunities that are coming. A whole lot of jobs will be created. A whole lot of industry will be bettered as a result of 5G. So now the challenge is, how prepared are we to leverage on these opportunities?
So that, yes, of course, the issues of that nature were raised yesterday, especially talking about now that it's going to be 5G all the way. You need new structures to be able to accommodate this new technology. And so, do we really have the structures that it takes, or what it takes to deploy this 5G that we're talking about? Remember, some time ago, the federal government and the states, some states are almost at loggerheads as to what they call the right of way, where they can also fix fiber optics for 5G. So I do not know how far that problem has been resolved, and the federal government is already talking about have already launched a 5G, and indigenous companies have taken the lead in the deployment. So how can all these things be addressed?
Well, sadly, the right of way it has always been an issue in the telecommunication industry. and I think it would remain an issue until it is tackled head on, because uh, for state governors, it's a means of generating revenue. So if you're passing fiber through my state, then it means that I should earn money, because as a result of that fiber passing through your state, it is money for you. So if the telecoms industry are making money, the states would also want to make money as a result of that right of way. So not until there is a clear understanding of how it will be dealt with, it will always become an issue. But again, infrastructure. 5G is not like 4G or 3G or 2G, that you can probably use the same infrastructure that you're using on 2G, just to probably upgrade a couple of them when you get the same signal. But 5G is practically as though you are deploying afresh. So the cost of deployment of 5G is practically it's high, and the cost of mass, that the number of mass that 5G needs, is also much many, because unlike 4G, 4G has a tendency of penetrating walls, but 5G does not until it is very close to that particular location. So it means that it will have in its design, it has the regular tower, but beyond the regular tower, it has what's called small cell towers. That is smaller and closer to us than the regular big mast that you see every day. So it now means that small cell towers will begin to work spring force. Who would manage that? Who will be in charge of that? A company can decide to do that. Then there are companies that what they do is that they do infrastructure, telecoms infrastructure as a service. And that invariably means that they would their aim is to ensure that there is power for the infrastructure. They build the towers, they build the small cell towers, and they rent a portion of it to telecom. So telecom just bring their equipment, connect, and they are in business. So there is a business opportunity in that area. All you need to do is to ensure that you have the necessary permission to do that. But again, it's huge to deploy 5G, and that's largely going to affect the speed of deployment.
Now, huge infrastructure needed to deploy 5G would also have to do with huge investment, huge chunk of money. Um, in your estimation, do you think what Nigeria has done in terms of investment is good enough for the kind of structure that we need to accommodate 5G?
Well, I believe NCC may have put that into consideration before they decide to start selling 5G. And if I'm to work with what we already have 4G maybe, but now there are some areas that are still running. There are some villages and some remote locations that are still running on 2G. You get, there are some places that are still running on 3G. There are some places that are running 3G, 4G, some places 3G, 2G. You get, now 5G is coming. Usually, as a strategic implementation, 5G starts from the city and cascade down to urban areas before it gets to the rural environment. But before it gets to that rural environment, there's that possibility for us to have 6G, because 6G is already in research on 6G is already ongoing, and we are just waiting, as I always say, we're just waiting to consume. We are not part of the research crew that are carrying out that research to make Nigeria part of those that will compete for the deployment or compete for the 6G innovation.
Okay, now you mentioned one very critical sector that we've always touched on here. I remember the yesterday's launch. The chairman of MAPAP Communications, Musbahu Bashir, said that the deployment of 5G, in fact, helped Nigeria not just to consume technology, but also participate in creating that technology and making it more to have more impact around the world. Now, you just raised an issue that struck the sensitive chord of Nigerians. You said this technology, we must play a part in it in terms of producing it as well instead of just consuming it. But as you always say, what does it take to be a part of productivity in technological advancement? Okay, so especially on technology of this nature, 5G.
Okay, well, sadly, we have not leveraged on the other perspective of the ICT. We have always been on the service area, being the service area and the software area. Yes, we've not really leveraged on making hardware production. And the companies like Zynox and some local based hardware manufacturer really did not hit it as we expected. And we are still having products like HP, products like Huawei, and these are hardware companies. Not until we have our own hardware companies that are indigenous and engage in extensive ICT-driven hardware research, we may not be able to end in that place where we would want to be part of the process that brings forth the technology.
Wow, that's a very great contribution. But I want you to know your thoughts on that. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we will continue with the discussion on 5G and indigenous firm participation in the deployment of this technology. Don't go away.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us on to Money Radio, and we're discussing 5G, and of course the opportunity that it presents to Nigerians indigenous firms to contribute their quota in the deployment of this very important technology. We're talking about new players in the industry, a company, an indigenous company known as Mafab Communications. Was one of those who won the license to deploy 5G on 3.5 gigahertz spectrum. And so the company had already started business by unveiling their 5G network yesterday. And so we're interrogating the participation of indigenous companies in the deployment of 5G network and the opportunities and, of course, the challenges that these will present to the Nigerian public, how we're going to address them going forward in order to create more opportunities. As you have heard from my guests, there are challenges. Of course, some jobs have to be lost in the process of deploying this technology. But then there is the bigger and better news that more jobs will be created and the economy will also experience some expansion and more investment and more industries and other things will come up as a result of the deployment of this very important technology. And so, Nathaniel, before we went on that break, you were talking about the indigenous companies not really playing the part they are supposed to play in terms of producing that technology itself. And that's one of the reasons a lot of experts in the Nigerian digital economy sector are saying that, look, taking advantage of 5G is not just to consume the technology, but also to see how well we can do to produce the technology itself. But then you also maintain something that is very significant in any human endeavor, which is research. We have a challenge of research in the country, and I know that. And we have not been able to create a veritable template to be able to exploit research opportunities in the country. So here we are with 5G. We're going to continue in the lackluster performance of poor research system, poor research structures, and poor funding for research, and so on and so forth. This, of course, will in fact serve as impediments to this particular technology. So I will want to stop it. So how do we do that?
Well, another thing we should even be more concerned about is not even the opportunities that comes with 5G, but we should also look at the opportunity that comes with Starlink.
Okay.
Starlink, which is the satellite, the low orbit satellite that NCC gave approval to Elon Musk to launch in Nigeria. It's also, if not more, going to give probably the same kind of services that 5G will give it will give it. Only that 5G tends to be running through the telecoms industry, whether will be coming from the orbit and all that. And the interference rate for that is high because it is it's more like a satellite thing, and it will need a mast yet. But again, we should also look at that. There are huge opportunities that will come as a result of that. There are places 5G won't be able to get to, and Starlink will be able to go there. Get so let's say we go to the rural areas, the thick forests, the thick bushes, Sambisa forest, for example, that we know that there is that possibility for us not to amass there. Starlink is already there before 5G. So what are the opportunities that this particular solution brings to the table? It makes it easier for service delivery again. Let's say, for example, you need to monitor all your policemen in Nigeria, all the policemen in Nigeria. Now they don't have an issue with internet. All they just need to do is to wear a Google glass or an eyeglass that is connected directly to this satellite, and with that they get their direct internet access. You are traveling from one location to another. You don't have to. If you're using that, if you, let's say for example, your Los Zeros bus, for example, has
Yes.
internet connectivity, it means that you can't drop it. There will be no connectivity at any point in time. Why? Because the Los Zeros bus is connected to is connected to the orbit. It has a direct line of sight to the orbit and to this satellite, and from there this satellite can also give internet to this. So there is a huge opportunity that comes with Starlink alongside the 5G that has been launched by MTN and MAPA Communication. There is huge possibilities and huge opportunities that we can leverage on as a country if we truly get it right. But again, how are we? What exactly are we doing? What do we want to do? Have we been able to identify what exactly we want to do? What area do we want to capitalize on? Is it the service area? Is it the Internet of Things? Is it the drone system? What area do we want to capitalize on? Now, drivers with the whole coming on board of 5G, city drivers would lose their job.
Yeah.
Because it now encourages autonomous vehicles. Autonomous vehicles come, you don't need a driver to take you wherever you are. The vehicle understands the terrain, understands everything about it, and goes and takes you to where you want it to take you to. So you both drivers, Uber drivers, taxi drivers, majority of them are going to lose their jobs. Yes. So now, if they are losing their jobs, what are we doing as alternatives for them?
Yes.
Those are the things we should begin to look out for. What are the kind of people that will lose their job? What are the alternatives available for this kind of person? How do we make this alternative available? How do we engage these persons to ensure that they don't turn to become negative? They don't take the negative thing as a result of the impact of this technology. These are the things I believe we should be discussing. Not the opportunities are there. If we leverage on it, we'll benefit from it. But again, there's also the downside that we should also take very, very seriously.
Okay, as we begin to wind up this program, the 5G network, as you have said, needs strong structures to accommodate it and spread the speed that it comes with. Now, we have a problem of poor literacy in the country. We also have poverty in general, which may be difficult for people to have access to this new technology. So, and of course, issues of this technology not easily going to be accessible to, how is it going to be accessible to rural communities where they are still struggling with the lesser Gs? Now, there's 5G upon us. So, how would we cope with a very low literacy level of awareness? We have issues of rural communities not having access to these because of obvious reasons, especially that of poverty and so on and so forth. So, how can they, the indigenous firms, for instance, now, what kind of package or what kind of program do you think they can put in place to be able to reach to, these people that are I would say, less privileged people in the rural communities?
Okay, so we have we have about 45, 43, if I'm not mistaken, broadband penetration rate. That means 4 persons that get connected to the internet by day. We have, as a country, if I'm not mistaken, as of last year, first quarter, we had about 136 million devices connected to the internet. We have over 90 million users of the internet. So it invariably means the challenge is not getting connected. The challenge is when you get connected, what do you do? You get so because you don't get connected to spend your time, you get connected to invest your time.
Yeah.
Thereby ensuring that when you're connected, you are earning from getting connected and not that you are losing from getting connected. So that now brings us to the place of ensuring that there is what's called digital skills.
Yes,
Digital skills needs to be encouraged in high level. There are the world is um, the world is short staffed. No, there are unmet job roles in cybersecurity. If I let me, I'll speak that last. There are unmet job roles in artificial intelligence globally. There are unmet job roles in virtual reality and augmented reality development. That's people, software developers that would bring applications that align with this. There are unmet job roles in UI, UX, and product design. There are unmet job roles in data science, data scientists, data analysts. So why don't we build skills in this field? If we want to take Nigeria out of this dependence on out of this poverty rate, these are opportunities that are available. Build digital skills in these guys, in this youth. And by the time you build digital skills in them, you can now put them in the market to occupy this position. If there are 22 million jobs that 5G will come from, these 20 million jobs are divided into different industries, starting from the construction industry that will build the mass, to the service industry to the information technology industry that will do the configuration and setting up of the 5G, to the service industry that will use the internet access. And it spans through. Yes, if we need to take people from poverty, that means we have to build their intellectual capacity. Let's build their digital skills so that they have something that they can hold on to even for the next 25 years, because all these technologies, they are the fourth industrial revolution technology that's all about digitalization. So if we can leverage on this technology, if we can build digital skills in this technology, it invariably means that we have the manpower to now engage people engage people that would come into the industry to create applications, or and we now have the manpower for them to decide to say, okay, they want to be startup companies, to start up their own companies and leverage on the opportunities that exist in this thing. With that, in fact, now then the last thing I would want to mention
yes,
is
you have to mention because our time
is the challenge as regards to 5G and cybercrime. With 4G, if you are attacked with a 4G signal, and let's say you are attacked for like 5 minutes, they may not be able to take a whole lot of data as a result of that attack because the time frame is short. But now, if you are attacked with 5G for 5 minutes, they can take 100 times the amount of data they would have taken if it is 4G on 5G. So a 30 seconds attack with 5G can be so devastating to an organization. So again, the government needs to ensure that it hastens its security posture as regards cyber attacks.
Wow. There's a whole lot to talk about in this segment. I'll talk about 5G and internal security, 5G and employment, 5G in different industries, in medicine, in agriculture, in security, and food security, even entertainment. The 5G has in fact come to take all over the industries you can think of. And so it is important that Nigeria's digital economy sector lives up to the expectation as the government has also vowed to maintain this prospect and ensure that we use it to provide job opportunities for Nigerian youths and of course expand the frontiers of the Nigerian economy to become a global and competitive player around the world. It's on that note that we draw the curtains of today's edition of the program, Leadership Podcast. My name is Innocent Udo, and I've been in the studio with Anil. Anil, it's always good to have you in the studio. Thank you so much for joining us once again. And we say we're going to bring a bumper edition when next we come. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.